In 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon. My name is Kimberly Cole. I'm currently serving as the zoning administrator for the city of Monterey. And it's my pleasure to call to order the February 17th, 2022 zoning administrator meeting. Just as we get started here, maybe Jennifer, you can announce how people can participate in today's meeting before we start with our public comments and public hearing item for the afternoon.
Members of the public are encouraged to join our meetings via Zoom Gov, a secure service that connects you live with no lag time. This meeting is also streamed live on youtube.com/City of Monterey with a 10-second delay and Comcast channel 25 with up to a 90-second delay. If you would like to provide public comment, please join the meeting using Zoom or by telephone, making sure to join in time to accommodate delays. To join the meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. Since the meeting has started, you'll find the agenda under the Recent tab. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864 toll free. Once again, that number is 833-568-8864. Then enter the webinar ID. For this meeting, the webinar ID is 160-666-5889. Once again, the webinar ID for this meeting is 160-666-5889. If that first phone number does not work for you, there are other options posted on the agenda at isearchmonterey.org. If prompted for a participant ID, press pound. Detailed instructions for using Zoom are available at monterey.org/public meetings. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. And lastly, public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. Please turn off TV or computer speakers or go to another room while connected, as background noise interferes with the broadcast. There will be a 3-minute time limit for today's public comment. Back to you, Kim.
Great. Thank you very much for that announcement on how to participate in this afternoon's meeting. And with that, I will go ahead and open the meeting to public comments on items that are not on today's agenda, that are under the jurisdiction of the zoning administrator of the city of Monterey. And so, Jennifer, could you please look to see if we have any hands raised in our attendees?
I see no hands raised. I think we can safely move on.
Thank you very much. With that, I'll go ahead and close public comment and move on to our first public hearing. It's actually agenda item 2 on the proposed agenda. The agenda title is Consider 323 English Avenue, Variance Application VA 21-0213. It's a request to allow fencing to exceed a 4-foot height limit. A 6-foot tall fencing is proposed within the front yard setback. The applicant property owner is Norman Scaravetti, and the zoning district is R16 zoning, which is the single family residential zoning district. It's a low density residential general plan designation. The project is proposed as being exempt from CEQA requirements for Article 19, Section 15301 and Class 1. With that, I'll turn it over to a staff presentation.
Thank you. My name is Chris Schmidt. I'm a senior associate planner with the city, and I reviewed this project and worked with the owner on this one. So yeah, we are looking at a Handsight Variance at 323 English. The staff recommendation is to adopt a resolution approving the variance. Just some background information. Here we see the site. As the zoning administrator said, it's zoned for single family. It contains an existing single family. And we can see here the topic of discussion here will be its location in relation to the highway, specifically the off-ramp, which you can see is right across the street. So the applicant submitted a variance request at the end of 2021 and provided these reasons why the variance should be supported. Specifically, the site is located downhill from the highway and highway off-ramp traffic lights from motorists driving down the off-ramp and noise from those vehicles impact the front yard, living room, kitchen, and bedroom, front bedroom. And these could only be mitigated by a fence taller than the standard 4 feet. The next reason was that English Avenue is a busy street because it is near the highway, and there's also increased traffic due to proximity to Del Monte Avenue. The other reason mentioned was impacts associated with nearby commercial uses. There are a number of commercial uses at Del Monte Avenue, and the applicant stated that both motorists and pedestrians frequently pass by their home from the neighborhood to get to either the commercial uses or the main street there. The other point made was the fence is set back from the street and would not obstruct drivers or pedestrians' view. And then lastly, that the fencing and landscaping were constructed when they first purchased the home to improve the aesthetics of the site. So I just wanted to show, these were some photos that I did take. This one being at the kind of the middle of the off-ramp crosswalk. You can clearly see it's directly across the street. This is the existing condition of the home. The applicant built a 6-foot fence and then added this 2-foot lattice at the top. Here they're only requesting to retain the 6-foot fence if they would remove the top portion. A little bit closer view from the sidewalk. A view looking at the off-ramp. I will say that when I was there were always cars coming down the off-ramp. And then this is a Google Street View, I guess from when the fencing was constructed, but the lattice had not been attached. So this is really what the applicants were requesting approval for. I thought this was a good example of what the final product would look like. So moving into the findings for approval, there are a number of variance findings required for fence variances, including the general state required variances, starting with the first one is that there's a special circumstance at the site that would deprive privileges enjoyed by other property owners if the strict application of the requirements of the ordinance were required. This lot is located directly across the street and downhill from the highway off-ramp. It is exposed to a high volume of traffic lights and noise. Staff found that to be a special circumstance or condition applicable to the project site. The second finding is that the granting of the variance would not be detrimental or injurious to property or improvements in the vicinity of the development site or public health, safety, or general welfare. The variance would not be detrimental or injurious. Like I said, it's set back from the sidewalk and street. Staff did not find any other reasons, causes for concern having to do with the health, safety, or general welfare from retaining that fence. Lastly, was that the granting of the application is consistent with the purposes of the ordinance, would not constitute a grant of special privilege inconsistent with limitations on other properties in the vicinity and of the same zoning district. Staff found that this is consistent with the purposes of the ordinance and would not grant special privilege. This site experiences increased light and noise impacts due to the location of the project site and the home in relation to the off-ramp. These types of conditions are not experienced by really most of the single-family zoned homes in that immediate area. So staff was able to make this finding. Moving on to the fence-specific findings. So there are a number of findings, including these three, where one or more of these three have to be made. And I did kind of touch on these with the previous findings. So the first is that there is a significant grade difference where the house is lower than the street. Staff was able to make that finding. The house is located at a lower elevation than the off-ramp, and cars shine down towards the lot. The next is the property adjoins or is across from the commercially zoned property. Staff was not able to make this finding, although there were nearby commercially zoned properties. They're relatively far away and not really visible from this site. And then the last finding is that the fence does not appear as a visual barrier and does not impede the sight line for vehicles. Staff was able to make this finding. We discussed with both planning and engineering staff on the potential impact to motorists and pedestrians driving and walking by, and found that there really would not be a impact to sight lines. What is the business with your? The next set of findings is there has to be a physical hardship with one of the following. And there were two primary physical hardships that has to do with the topography of the site, really in relation to the surrounding area. Like I said, it's just downhill from the off-ramp. And then the fifth hardship is the location of the existing structure on site, which really could not be moved, and the lot obviously could not be moved either. So staff was able to make this finding as well. Staff's recommendation does come with one condition of approval, that the existing fence height be reduced to a maximum 6 feet. This is what the applicant proposed, so I think that is something they'll accept. And again, staff recommends approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I don't have any questions so far about the application, but I would like to open it up for public comment. And so Jennifer, if you could make an announcement on how to participate, and I see that we have one attendee.
To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864 toll free. Once again, 833-568-8864 is the toll-free number to call to provide public comment. You can enter the webinar ID after that, which is 160-666-5889. Once again, this meeting's webinar ID is 160-666-5889. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide public comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. And I'm seeing one attendee, but no hands raised. If this is the applicant in attendance, now would be a good time to raise your hand and provide comments if you would like to do so. There they are. I will ask you to unmute. And you should be able to unmute yourself and then provide your comment.
I would like to appreciate the recommendations, and they're in line with my application. And I don't have any further comments if you guys have any questions. Again, it's a very busy area. It's usually much busier than daytime in the nighttime after 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So, but I do appreciate the excellent work done in the approval recommendation. I don't have anything else to add. Thank you again.
And are there any additional public comments, Jennifer?
Thank you for providing your comment, Norman. I see no other commenters.
Thank you very much. With that, I will close public comment and return the item for my decision. I did have the opportunity to visit the project site, or at least drive towards the project site, both during the day and night. And first of all, I think the proposal to reduce the height of the fence from 8 feet to 6 feet and to remove the proposed lattice work is a very significant positive movement for the project. I do believe the variance findings can be met as expressed in the resolution attached to the staff report. But I think the most distinctive variance finding was that the highway off-ramp starts at almost probably 2 to 3 stories above this house and gradually descends and terminates at English Avenue. And directly across the street at English Avenue is the single family residence that we're considering this afternoon. And I noticed when I drove that during the evening hours that in fact my headlights would shine directly into that residence due to the topography difference of the freeway off-ramp in relationship to the house. And I think that is a significant finding that makes this property different than a lot of properties that we see. Because very few properties, in fact, this may be the only one in the city that as you exit a freeway off-ramp, your headlights directly shine into a house. So on that basis, and for the additional findings included in the resolution, I'm approving the variance, and all approvals are subject to a 10-day appeal period on forms available in the planning office, and that appeal would be heard by the planning commission. I'd also like to add a condition of approval that the lattice work be removed fairly quickly, maybe 12 days after approval of this variance, so we can the project can be brought into compliance with the decision. And Jennifer, is it possible to unmute the applicant to see if they can agree to that 12-day requirement?
Yes, I have just allowed them to unmute themselves.
Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. 12 days will be, I will have enough time to make the logistical arrangements to have that top removed. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Great, thank you very much for your comment. And so my proposed decision is to support the variance as expressed in the resolution, that with the condition that the additional lattice work that increases the fence to 8 feet be removed within 12 days of the date of this decision. And as I mentioned earlier, my decision is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 days of the date of the decision. Thank you very much. And with that, I will go ahead and close the public hearing and the meeting for this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Record.